The sun had barely risen over the quiet outskirts of town when Miguel stepped out of his small, rustic home. The chilly morning breeze greeted him, carrying with it the fresh aroma of pine trees and wildflowers. He took a deep breath, savoring the crisp air, and glanced down at his side, where his loyal companion, Max, stood. Max wasn't just any dog. He was a medium-sized mixed breed with golden fur and a patch of white on his chest, a mark that made him look like he was wearing a hero's emblem. His alert eyes scanned the landscape, ears twitching at the faintest sound. This was their daily ritual, a walk through the rugged trails of the forested hills just outside town. But something about this morning felt different. Miguel noticed it in Max's behavior. The dog, who was usually calm and relaxed, seemed restless. His ears twitched more frequently, and his head kept turning toward the woods as if hearing something Miguel couldn't. "What's wrong, boy?" Miguel asked, his voice filled with concern. Max's response came quickly. He froze, his entire body tensing like a coiled spring. His eyes locked onto a spot beyond the trees. And then, without warning, he bolted. "Max, come back here!" Miguel shouted as he chased after his dog, his feet pounding against the uneven forest trail. Branches slapped at his face and roots tried to trip him at every step, but he didn't stop. The urgency in Max's movements was unlike anything he had seen before. Miguel pushed through the dense foliage, his heart pounding from both exertion and fear. Finally, he saw Max up ahead, barking furiously at something. As Miguel approached, he saw what had captured Max's attention: a gaping hole at the base of a rocky cliff. It was a cave entrance, half hidden by tangled vines and moss. Miguel felt a shiver travel down his spine. He had lived near these woods for years, but he had never seen this cave before. Max's barking echoed off the rocky walls, growing louder with each second. "What is it, boy?" Miguel asked, his breath coming in short gasps. Max glanced at Miguel, his eyes filled with an almost human-like intensity. He barked again and pawed at the entrance. His message was clear: "Go inside." Miguel hesitated, his gaze locked on the darkness beyond the entrance. The rational part of his mind told him to turn around, to walk away. But the look in Max's eyes wouldn't let him. It wasn't just instinct. It was something deeper, an urgency that demanded action. With a deep breath, Miguel pulled out his phone, turning on the flashlight. The narrow beam of light cut through the darkness, revealing a rocky tunnel. The air was colder inside, carrying a damp, earthy smell. "All right, Max," Miguel said, swallowing his fear. "Let's see what's so important." The tunnel was narrow, forcing Miguel to crouch as he made his way deeper inside. Shadows flickered on the walls, shifting with each movement of his flashlight. The sound of dripping water echoed, each drop landing with an eerie precision. His breath was shallow, heart pounding in his chest. Max remained ahead, his every movement deliberate and focused. Suddenly, the dog stopped, ears perking up. His nose twitched, and he let out a low, guttural growl. "Max, what is it?" Miguel asked, his voice tense with unease. Then he heard it, a faint, muffled sound, a sob. Miguel froze, straining his ears. The sound came again, this time more distinct, a small, frightened sob. "Is someone there?" Miguel's voice echoed in the darkness. The answer came in the form of another sob, soft but unmistakable. His flashlight moved rapidly across the chamber walls until it finally landed on a small figure curled up against the stone wall. It was a little girl, no older than 6. Her face was streaked with dirt, her small arms hugging her knees tightly. Her eyes were wide with fear. "Oh my God!" Miguel gasped, rushing toward her. Hey, it's okay," he said softly, his voice gentle as he crouched beside her. Max approached slowly, his tail wagging softly as he lay down beside the girl, offering warmth and comfort. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Miguel asked. "Sophia," she whispered, her voice barely audible. After a few minutes of reassurance, Sophia explained how she had gotten lost while exploring the forest with her parents. She had taken shelter in the cave when it started to rain, but she had twisted her ankle and couldn't walk. Miguel knew they couldn't stay there, But as he glanced around the chamber, something else caught his attention. The walls were adorned with ancient paintings, figures of people, animals, and symbols he didn't recognize. The sight was both fascinating and unsettling. "Who drew these?" he muttered to himself. Suddenly Max let out a bark. It was sharper, more urgent than before. Miguel looked in the direction Max was facing and saw a faint blue glow coming from a deeper part of the cave. Drawn by the glow, the group moved deeper into the cave. The sight that met them was unlike anything they had ever seen. A massive underground chamber with glowing blue crystals hanging from the ceiling, their light reflecting off the still surface of an underground lake. "It's magical," Sophia gasped, her eyes wide with wonder. With Sophia's ankle injured, Miguel decided it was too dangerous to continue exploring. They needed to leave. He used his flashlight to signal the outside world, calling for help. His heart leapt with relief when he heard voices calling Sophia's name. Moments later, beams of light swept through the forest. Sophia's parents, Anna and Roberto, emerged, their faces twisted with worry. When they saw Sophia, their cries turned to sobs of joy. They rushed forward, gathering her in their arms. "Thank you," Anna said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you so much." "It was Max," Miguel replied, glancing down at his dog. "He's the real hero." But their relief was short-lived. Thunder rumbled and the ground beneath them shifted. The rain had loosened the soil, and in an instant Miguel felt himself falling. The world spun, and his breath caught in his chest. He dangled over the edge of a newly formed ravine, gripping a tree root with all his strength. "Help!" he shouted, his voice raw with panic. "Hang on, Miguel!" Roberto shouted. But it wasn't Roberto who saved him. It was Max. The dog lunged forward, biting down on Miguel's sleeve with all his might. His muscles strained as he pulled, his growls mixing with the rain's pounding. Roberto grabbed Miguel's other arm, and together they pulled him back to safety. With Sophia safe and Miguel rescued, the family huddled together. Rescue workers arrived minutes later, offering blankets and water. The warmth of human connection was felt in every embrace. Miguel turned back to the forest, where the secret chamber lay hidden. He knew that the glow of those crystals, the ancient paintings, and the underground lake would remain unseen by the world. But that was okay. "Some treasures are better left undiscovered," he murmured, glancing at Max, his loyal friend and hero. As the family walked toward the rescue vehicles, Sophia looked up at Miguel with bright, grateful eyes. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice filled with the weight of everything they had endured. Miguel nodded, his throat tight with emotion. Max nudged his leg with his nose, his tail wagging softly. He knew they had found something extraordinary, a shared experience that went beyond words. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Click the bell icon to receive notifications for future videos filled with heartwarming adventures. And if Max's loyalty and courage touched your heart, be sure to leave a like. We'll see you in the next story.